you say my town is a shithole, I don't hear truth. I hear laziness and a tone that's uncouth. Ignorant on the topic, uneducated, a narrative regurgitated, purposefully perpetuated, a generalisation fabricated like a pantomime villain is intentionally created.
We have quite a lot of people on the bike that either have mobility issues or just from an older generation. But I really wanted to get you on the bike, and the reason for it was because I saw your poem, Shithole.
Yep.
And as soon as I seen it, I don't know, something really resonated with me when I seen that. I'd love to know, like, what your idea behind the poem was. Like, what made you go and create something like that?
So I was late to the party when it came to creativity. I get asked quite a lot.
Yeah.
When did you start writing poetry? And I wrote my first poem when I was 32.
Wow, that is late.
Yeah. I went to an all-boys school called Wyre High School,
right.
And anyone who knows Wyre knows it wasn't exactly a hub of creative expression.
No.
I loved my time at school, got loads of opportunities to play sport, but it wasn't exactly a place where creativity was nurtured and harnessed.
No.
And it wasn't even on my radar. It's not like I was this suppressed creative. It wasn't on my radar at all. Creativity came at a time when I needed it.
Yeah.
I was in a really dark place. I'd started writing, I'd written a couple of books, but poetry, writing with the purpose of expressing my own experiences and emotions, that came at 32.
Wow.
I was struggling with depression, anxiety, I was, having suicidal thoughts, just completely irrational, state of mind.
Where did that come from?
For years, I'd struggled with anxiety. I probably started to develop it when I was a teenager, 13, 14 maybe, but
it probably wasn't a thing back then, was it?
It wasn't a thing.
No.
However, I lived in a house where mental health was openly discussed.
Oh, right, okay.
So my dad suffered with depression when I was younger. That was quite difficult.
I bet.
So I was aware of mental health. I just never thought I was in a stage where I might have needed help. I just thought it was kind of just a normal part of me.
Yeah.
However, progressively got worse over the years, and I ended up in a state of breakdown.
What was rock bottom for you then?
Well, at the time, rock bottom was I was in the shower, and I remember started talking to myself out loud. I'd never done that before, and I was saying like this can't be it, because my mind was so busy, it was so frantic. I was thinking about a million things, and I couldn't think of one thing. I couldn't zoom in. I couldn't grab hold of one thought. And I was saying, this can't be it. This can't be it. And I started panicking. This can't be it forever. I can't. And I was saying it out loud, and I started crying in the shower. Funny enough, it was a message on a group chat, and the person who sent the message didn't mean anything by it, and it tipped me over the edge. I just went really, really kind of into panic mode, and I spoke to my dad and burst out crying to my dad, and he'd been telling me for probably a year, you need to go to the doctor's, son. And I was like, no, I'm not there yet, but there's people worse off than me. I'm all right. And for probably the previous 5 years, I'd been through that process of, I'll just exercise a bit and eat a bit better, and I'll get myself back on track. And I could not get myself back on track. And eventually I was like, I know, I do need to go to the doctors. And I went to the doctors, burst out crying at the doctors, and she was like, I think you've got depression. And she said, an anxiety disorder. I was like, I know I've got anxiety. I knew that. I've known that for a long, long time. But it's almost like I'd crashed and sunk into this depressive state that I couldn't snap out of. And I was having flash thoughts of taking my own life, and then panicking about that. I didn't make a plan to do it. I didn't genuinely want that. But it kept coming into my mind more often than not. But part of that recovery was around writing poetry. I wrote a poem, 4 o'clock in the morning. I wrote a poem called Fatherhood. It's about being a dad. And it made me feel better. I didn't even know if it was a real poem. It looked like a poem, sounded like a poem.
You never even wrote one poem before that?
I couldn't remember writing a poem. Maybe I did at school. But that poem made me feel better. And I realised that suddenly my thoughts and feelings had a way out.
Okay.
They had a way out. They had an outlet. And I took at the time it felt cringy, but I took the step to share on social media, and I got a brilliant response from people. I thought people were going to, take the mickey a little bit, but actually people really connected. And the most surprising thing was people said, I feel that as well. So poetry became this vehicle for me to understand myself, manage my emotions and my experiences, but then also connect with other people who had similar experiences.
Yeah.
And it wasn't just doom and gloom stuff, it was funny stuff, it was
Right.
cultural stuff. I wrote a poem about being a northerner, and that absolutely catapulted me outside of Blackpool and performing on stages in Liverpool, Manchester, and all over the place, really.
That's amazing.
I was lucky enough that in 2022, I was able to leave my job and kind of take this idea of stories,
Yeah.
whether they are poems or narratives or songs or plays or YouTube videos, take this idea of stories and work with people across. Bringing it back full circle to your question, sorry, I've gone off on a tangent
No,
there.
don't worry.
Shithole came from, I go all over the place
Right.
to work, to engage with people of all ages, and I hear it quite a lot. If I say I'm from Blackpool, people will say, oh, it's a bit of a shithole, isn't
You
it?
see it in the faces.
And I'll be there in another town somewhere, and I'll think, how are you calling my town a shithole?
Yeah,
And
very true.
And look, I know it's got
Yeah.
its difficult places and its difficult issues, and everything feels so concentrated in Blackpool because we've got a densely populated area, we've got transients, we've got tourists. You know, we're one of the most densely populated areas outside London. Plus, throw into the hat millions of tourists every year.
Yeah.
There's gonna be, it's a melting pot of issues, but there's also some amazing places.
Absolutely.
But the tipping point was I was running down the promenade and the sun was setting, and I just thought, how can people call my town? And I started thinking, this was on the Monday night, I started thinking of the poem. I thought, I'm going to write a poem about it. And then I started putting pen to paper, and it just came, it just flowed quite freely, because there was a lot of pent up frustration,
Yeah.
but also a lot of pride. So the poem came quite naturally, and by the Saturday I recorded it, sat in my garden, and it flew. I think it got to like 60,000 views or something, which wasn't, that's not the kind of exposure I'm used to.
No.
And my mate said to me, you know what you should do? You should take the audio and you should put imagery over it. And I thought, God, what a great idea. But oh my God, it flew on social media. It's over 500,000 views now.
Wow.
So you said it resonated with you, and I don't think you're the only one. You know, there's so many positive comments, which made me feel great.
Look at what we're doing today, because, and people don't, I say this to people all the time, even if your videos that you're putting out there, if you've got something to talk about that you think is going to have an impact on someone, even if it has 500 people, that's a lot of different people. And look what this video's done today, right? So we're showcasing an amazing charity in Blackpool. We're going to give them hopeful exposure to a wider audience that then can support them as well. And that was all because you had this idea to put pen to paper and create this video.
Yeah.
And that wouldn't have happened otherwise.
No, and you know, well, do you know, I think it would have, because you're doing it and they're doing it.
Yeah.
And I think the purpose of the poem is that we should highlight it, that what's happening, and that's exactly what you're saying, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly.
So the work's happening, the positivity's happening, the impact's happening.
Yeah.
What we often don't do is shout about it enough.
No.
You know, and I'm not saying, you know, we need to start, you know, making a song and dance about having food banks. That is not a great thing to be celebrating. But what it is really, really important things that go on in Blackpool, and the people of Blackpool are making that happen.
Yeah.
And they don't deserve to be called shithole. There's so many amazing people, places, you know, and initiatives happening within our local community, and it's important that we take time to, you know, celebrate them, as well as trying to tackle the issues that we experience.
I don't know how to describe it. I had a mix of emotions when I first stumbled across the food project.
Yeah.
The first one being that the amazing work they're doing first and foremost. The operation, which, you know, our journey today is going there and we'll see it firsthand. But I couldn't believe how many people, not just in Blackpool and the Fylde, just literally across the whole UK, that use food banks that you wouldn't expect to use food bank.
I know, it's a sad state of affairs, really, isn't it? It's a sad reflection upon where we've got to as a society, you know, regarding just how many people are struggling in food poverty, fuel poverty, children, families, working families, you know, families that have had traumatic experiences, you know, they've lost loved ones, they've been kind of pushed into financial situations that they never would have expected or anticipated.
No.
And it's worth noting that, you know, we live in a society where I don't know. We're celebrating the opening of food banks. It feels like a paradox, doesn't it?
Yeah, it
And in
does.
an ideal world, we wouldn't need food banks, or we wouldn't need as many food banks, or we wouldn't need people to rely on food banks in the way that they do. Zooming into Blackpool Food Project,
Yeah.
incredible. The work that they do, often unseen and unheard.
Yeah.
It's a difficult one, isn't it? Because you're dealing with people's pride and integrity, and that's always quite a difficult conversation to have when people are in need.
Well, I would love, if you don't mind, just to hear the poem in first hand. Obviously, I've seen the video many, many times. I love it to bits.
Yes, of course.
I would love to hear it from the horse's mouth, as it were.
You don't need to ask me twice. But I'll have to read it off my phone because I've not quite rehearsed it yet.
No, don't worry.
I'm sure it'll register at some point, and I'll be able to recite it without notes. But yeah, this is shithole.
Okay.
When you say my town is a shithole, I don't hear truth. I hear laziness and a tone that's uncouth. Ignorant on the topic, uneducated, a narrative regurgitated, purposefully perpetuated, a generalisation fabricated like a pantomime villain is intentionally created. Oh no, it isn't, you'll say, whilst referencing neighbourhoods that might have lost their way, due to political choices that have always been in play, with community voices rarely having a say. Yes, there are challenges, hardships and shame, but tell me a problem and I could give you the name of 50 other towns that harbour this issue. Yet they won't encounter the same flame of vitriol blame that Blackpool so often does. When you say my town is a shithole, I wonder if you've ever cast eyes on our beautiful sunset, or if you've experienced when the autumn chill is disguised by a festival of light and surprise before you chose words to chastise my home. And so I implore you to prize yourself away from the armchair of judgment to see what I see. The piers illuminated with flashes of joy and the sound of carefree sensations. Stanley Park Lake ripples with peace, reflecting stories that span generations. Homegrown, independent businesses that bolster our town's foundations. The traditional tastes of Notrianis or Stefanis that don't need any explanations. A place for punks to dream and dancing queens, an undisputed tourist destination. As a giant glitter ball spins, the custodians at House of Wings take care of street culture preservation. Community gardens drenched in plants, produce and supportive conversations. Smiles and helping hands, despite the odds we persevere with determination. When you say my town is a shithole, I will not succumb to your slander. I implore you, don't believe the hype. Instead, walk around and have a gander. Talk to some folks. Some won't have much, but they'll give you their time. You see, beauty exists across this seaside cosmos of mine. Not in manufactured YouTube generics or clickbait headline hysterics, but in the fresh coastal air that fills my lungs. The rich history behind grand theatre stages. In the warm welcome that endures to the point it's contagious, or our creative community who fill blank pages with colourful imagery and stories for the ages. When you say my town is a shithole, I scratch my head and confusion causes me to frown. But then I realise it says more about you than it does about my town.
Yes! Mate, that made me feel something, like genuinely, like hearing it firsthand was, just, you're so good at like communicating that as well. Like you must, obviously it comes with practice, no doubt.
Yeah, I mean, to start with, I was a bit of whenever I recited a poem, obviously I was nervous and there would be a little wobble in my voice if I was on stage. The microphone would be trembling in my hand, my cheeks would be scarlet, but obviously through time and practice and exposure, it becomes a little bit easier to recite and you fine-tune your craft. It's the same as anything.
It is.
It's the same with you guys with digital media, you fine-tune your craft. The main thing for me around having the opportunity and being the custodian of stories is to make sure that we take the opportunity to share our perspective of the world, of our emotions, of our experiences, because if we don't, somebody else will. And we see that with Blackpool.
We do.
National media, there's a really strong narrative that Blackpool is not a very nice place. Yeah. And when you live here, that's not very nice to hear.
No.
And, like I said before, the people who do live here, people who try and contribute positively, perhaps have a different perspective.
Yeah.
So it's time to shift the narrative.
There's two kinds of people in the world, isn't there? And there's like the people that talk about and moan about things constantly in life, but never ever do anything about it. And then there's the people, which I fit into the category where if I see a problem, I'll actively solve it. I will do everything in my power. Hence why we're on this bike here. You know, my auntie was put in a care home because my mobility which went completely downhill. I could just go and visit her like I do and just be there for her. But something came over me and I was like, I need to try and solve that problem. And that's the whole reason why I was here. And I feel like that happens in life, doesn't it? Hence why people do the work they're doing, is because they can't stand not doing something. They have to physically tackle that.
Zoom into certain parts of that picture where you can actually affect it and have an influence on. And I think that's a really, really important thing. It's yes, of course, challenge the big stuff. You know, unite with your community and try and challenge and tackle the big stuff. Push for change. But then also there's an element of also don't get lost in it. Look after yourself and look after those around you and try and make your corner of the world as positive as it can be. I know what negative kind of emotions feel like. I know what strong, desperate emotions feel like. And I don't want to be there. I don't want to sit there and stew in that. I'd much rather be in a place where we can, you know, try and actually make a positive influence on the things that we have control over. I think if poetry's told me anything, it's told me that anything that I'm thinking or feeling, I'm very, 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 very rarely thinking or feeling that in isolation. You know, and people might not have the exact same experiences as me, but there's an element of familiarity with other people's experiences. And when you find connection and common ground with that, it makes it doesn't solve your problems, but it eases the pain. It allows you to think perhaps more objectively about the situation. It makes it feel less, when it's inside your mind, it feels so scary. And when it's out in the open, it feels less. That's why sense of community across the board is really, really, really important in a divisive society where we are almost conditioned to be divisive, to be negative, to protect our own space and be wary of others. In a society like that, it's really important to find love, warmth, connection, and, you know, celebrate the really, really great things that exist within, you know, our surrounding area.
But you couldn't have put it better ourselves, because obviously we just arrived at the amazing Big Food Project, and I cannot wait to have a look around. Should we go and have a little gander at the work that they're doing? And
sounds great.
Let's see. How much food actually goes out from here a day?
Probably what, about 40 crates.
All of these empty spaces were full, and this is how much demand there is now.
Yeah, it's getting low and low. So we are reaching out at the best we can.
What's the demand like now compared to what it was like 12 or 24 months ago?
It's tripled. It's
tripled?
Yeah, people are asking for more stuff and we're getting less and less.
A lot of the families that use food banks now are your normal families. It's not like people that are just on your breadline. It's people that are working, but they just can't get to the level in terms of their overall income to be able to put food on the table consistently, and that.
I think that's because the breadline's keeps going up and up and up and up, and there's so many families that are struggling paycheck to paycheck because of soaring costs of food, bills, everything across society. So it needs more support. How many volunteers have you got?
We've got 150 volunteers.
150?
Yeah. So they do shifts, morning shifts and afternoon shifts. So they finish about lunchtime and another shift comes in and they prepare the orders and start cleaning the warehouse.
Let me ask you this question, because I know that, you know, times are very difficult at the minute. If you was to shut because you just simply didn't get enough funding or donations or food through, what would happen to the community?
The community will struggle massively. You know, it's hunger is one of the things that, you know, financial people can't afford it. And we need more organisations such as ours here that, you know, provide a service that can feed them and help them. So we need as much support as we can to keep this organisation up. This is run by a small team, as you can see that. There's so much we can do with only little helps, you know.
when I was packing all of this, I actually thought to myself, God, I've got quite a lot here. And then I've come here and realised that it's actually hardly anything in the grand scheme of what the actual place is delivering.
We shouldn't be in a state
No.
of society where everybody needs to be doing this.
They've actually got until, I think it's July. If they do not get enough funding until then, this whole place goes away. And then all of the food banks that they are actually delivering to also go with it. Just think how many families are going to starve from this. It's just, it breaks your heart. Through Lab Creative donation today, they've been able to supply you with food that can hopefully affect many families.
You know, you see the feedback, the outcome when you go and present these crates of food to help the vulnerable, to help families out there, and you see the appreciation and the smile back, you know, that feedback, that just makes it all complete.
Yeah.
This is worth it. Loads and loads of good people out there.
Yeah.
But thank you, yeah.
No, thank you.
Thank
for having
you.
us. Really appreciate
Thank you
that.
so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Before you
Really
go,
appreciate
Yeah.
it.
There's a lot of work that charities and non-profits do are hidden,
Yeah.
and it's very rare that you actually get to see that
Behind
behind the
what,
curtain. as it
well,
were.
yeah, because it is such a delicate thing, and it is a delicate story to tell. You know,
It is.
there is people's integrity, there are societal factors, political factors. The fact that we've got food banks not being an ideal situation, but we are where we are.
Yeah, exactly.
So we
can't
do
change
need to
it.
tell the story of food bank, this particular food bank, because if we don't tell the story and raise awareness, then they're going to end up struggling.
Yeah. And how
Dare I say, not surviving.
you have to think about your charity and non-profit as a business, because it needs to have staff. It needs to
yeah,
survive.
Yeah. Like we were just saying then, 150 volunteers. As a staffing team, that is huge.
Yeah.
Just how great a thing that is to have 150 people giving up their time
Yeah.
to make that thing tick.
Yeah.
That's incredible, and it's again goes back to our first conversation about there being amazing people in Blackpool.
Yeah. There's nothing more humbling in life than
that was
to see stuff like
that was extremely humbling.
So we always like to finish off these journeys with a piece of wisdom that you would like to pass on to a younger generation. What piece of wisdom would you like to pass on?
That's a big question. From an individual perspective, I think if I was giving a younger me some advice, it would be, don't worry so much. You know, don't take yourself too seriously. Take each opportunity as it comes and try and learn and grow. With each passing moment, you know, you don't have to have it all figured out. You don't need to know the end game. It's about trying to enjoy the journey as opposed to being solely fixed on the destination. I guess from a broader point of view, though, it'd be life's too short for negativity and you know, hate and tying yourself in knots on social media or whatever, and building up a sense of dislike towards groups of people or whatever. Life's too short for that. If you're finding yourself in that state, put the phone down, get outside, go and speak to people, go places you don't normally go, try and broaden your horizons, listen to people, and try and understand things from different people's perspective. Because we're living in a world now where it feels so divisive online. Yet in reality, more often than not, you can find common ground with people. You can talk about things, you can share, you can learn, and you can move forward having been a more enriched person. So yeah, I'd probably leave it at that.
Amazing.
I know you said one piece.